let's get caught up with the latest going on with the Sox. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. In today's video, we're basically just recapping where the Red Sox stand so far in this free agency. Over the weekend, they did complete a trade, so we're going to talk about that one as well. And we're going to talk about all the latest rumblings and reports surrounding what the Red Sox may do next, because there are a bunch of different ways this could go. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so I think the best place to start is with the trade that took place this weekend. One, because it is actually something that legitimately happened. It's not a rumor or a report. And two, because I think it's a relatively quick one to talk about. Yesterday, it was announced that the Red Sox had traded Manuel Valdez to the Pittsburgh Pirates. I don't think that should be a total surprise to really anyone. We mentioned once he was DFA'd for Garrett Crochet that this was more than likely the most likely outcome for Valdez, that the Red Sox were going to find some way to flip him. I don't think this is really that big of an issue. The Red Sox have a ton of talent coming up through the middle infield. Even with him having some major league experience, I still didn't really think there was a spot, at least on the Major League roster, for Valdez going into 25. I thought Sogard and David Hamilton had proven that they were better defensive and offensive depth in this system than Valdez was, so definitely wasn't a surprise to me. I'm sure it wasn't a surprise to you guys. Now, the Red Sox, in return for Manuel Valdez, got a pitching prospect by the name of Joe Vogatsky. Joe is actually brand new to professional baseball, and this year will be his first year in a major league system. He was drafted in the 19th round of this year's draft by the Pirates out of James Madison University. Kind of interesting, he was actually drafted in an earlier round in the 2023 draft, but decided to stay at college. I don't know why I decided to point that out. Just a really interesting thing to me. If you look at his numbers in college, overall they aren't super great. It's a 5.24 ERA with a 1.504 whip, a 9.4 K per nine, and a 4.4 walks per nine. But I do think that is pretty skewed by a really bad freshman sophomore year. His upperclassman seasons, his most recent seasons, are definitely a lot better. There's still a lot of walks, but the ERA is way down, the whip is much lower, so definitely something to pay attention to there, whether or not he figured something out as he continued to get older, which makes a lot of sense. Now, I don't really know what Joe's real, true impact on the Red Sox system is going to be. He isn't a starting pitcher, so he is a reliever, which makes me assume that the Red Sox are going to have him develop either a wipeout slider or a sweeper of some sort. Just feels to be their identity going forward here as they continue to change their pitching approach in the system as a whole. I think this is one of those trades where we're either going to totally forget about it for the next, 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden this guy's going to pop up and we're going to be like, oh yeah, remember Manuel Valdez? Or it's going to bite us immediately in the butt where Manuel Valdez gets some legitimate playing time and he's really good with the Pirates. Or this is one of those ones where you sit there and 4 or 5 years from now you say, man, I can't believe this guy was for Manuel Valdez. Honestly, I have no idea what the outcome is going to be because I don't own a crystal ball. But hey, you got something for Valdez who you weren't going to have on your roster to begin with this 2025 season. You were able to flip him for something at the bare minimum, at least mildly intriguing. We'll see how it ends up. I don't hate this trade. I don't love this trade. I think it was just one of those small little trades you see throughout a major league offseason to just sort of supplement a roster as they continue to build and grow a competitor for 2025. And speaking of that, now that we've got the trade out of the way, let's talk about some of the latest reports/rumors surrounding the Red Sox and their next move for this major league team. Okay, so we just talked about a trade that was completed. Let's talk about some trades that were close or have been rumbling around Red Sox Nation lately that I think you guys need to be aware of. The first one is about Luis Castillo because Alex Spear put out a fantastic article about where the Sox stand in all of this. I'll put the link in the description down below. But in that article, he shed some real light on where the Red Sox were at with Luis Castillo. Apparently, they got so far into talks with the Mariners during winter meetings, that the Mariners even called Luis Castillo's agent to see if he would waive his no trade clause to come to the Red Sox. And we don't know if that no trade clause was waived or not. I think some people are going to assume that it wasn't because he's obviously not with the Red Sox, but apparently the trade talks really cooled after the Sox got Garrett Crochet. Don't love that. If you're going to stick to a plan and it's going to be acquiring two legitimate frontline starters via the trade network, obviously, if you get one, you should be stepping on the gas to get another, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it feels as though the Red Sox were legitimately interested in Luis Castillo. Obviously, it feels as though this is stalled a little bit in terms of talks, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on. If the Red Sox were interested then, I wonder if they'll be interested if they can't get anything done on the free agent market. The other name that's been sort of tumbling around Red Sox Nation a bit over these last couple of weeks is the Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Jared Jones. He was made available by the Pittsburgh Pirates. They said that they would trade him. They would listen to trade talks. The ceiling for this guy is astronomical. The price for this guy is going to be astronomical, but it's been a name that I think a few big Red Sox influencers have talked about. Tyler Milliken has thrown his name out a whole bunch. Beyond the Monsters thrown his name out a whole bunch. Robbie Hyde's talked about him. I think there is maybe at least the bare minimum some smoldering ashes around Red Sox content creators with Jared Jones. I wouldn't put too much stock into that, but I do think there's some interesting stuff going on there and might be a name to pay attention to, although, again, that is going to be a massive costing player, so I kind of highly doubt that's a possibility. In terms of the free agent market, Alex Spear once again wrapped it up really nicely for us so that we can look at it real easily on this screen right now. He did, in that same article, mention the Red Sox have kept the door open on the top remaining free agent, Corbin Burnes, which is great, right? He didn't totally write off the possibility. This seems to be a guy the Red Sox spend money on, and the fact that they aren't totally out on him is a really good sign. But he did also say that because the Sox got Crochet, they may not be totally inclined to really get into a bidding war over him. Now, this is the part I don't love, and this is the part I wanted to talk about with Luis Castillo. This feels like the Red Sox are going in the opposite direction, right? This feels like the Red Sox are still building or rebuilding in this organization. This is the kind of mindset you have if you're looking to compete in 27, 28, not 2025. If you're looking to compete in 25, you get Garrett Crochet, you're like, okay, now I can step my foot on the gas. Instead of, hey, we got Crochet, let's ease up on the brakes here a little bit and do a nice little cruise throughout the rest of the offseason. I just don't think that is the right way of looking at this, and Corbin Burnes absolutely should be that guy you step on the gas for. I will say we haven't really heard anything outside of Alex Spear connecting the Red Sox to Corbin Burnes, or really anyone connecting anyone to Corbin Burnes. That market's kind of gotten dead over the last couple of days. Alex Spear did mention a couple other alternative options for free agents for the Red Sox as they continue to go forward. Walker Buehler gets mentioned a lot with the Sox. Jack Flaherty was connected to the Red Sox this weekend as well, not specifically in this Alex Spear article, but just in general, he was connected to the Red Sox, something to pay attention to. Surprised we hadn't heard his name earlier. It feels like that's a guy the Red Sox, again, they wanted him last offseason. It makes sense why they'd be connected to him this offseason after a better season than he had the year before. Just surprised he wasn't mentioned earlier, but was connected this weekend. Sean Manaea and even a reunion with Nick Pivetta. I sit there, and even getting Garrett Crochet, which is fantastic and definitely does improve your rotation. I feel like if we get Nick Pivetta back here, you're just sort of taking no steps. You're taking a step forward when you could take multiple steps forward for years to come. So I still don't love the Nick Pivetta idea. I don't know why. I don't really have a very good argument as to why over everyone else. I would go Buehler in this conversation. If they're going for that sort of mid-tier backup to a Crochet, I would go Buehler. I think it's because he does have the highest ceiling. Now, I know he doesn't have the best statistics out of that bunch, but I think when healthy, this is a guy who could absolutely stick. Imagine a 1-2 of a fully healthy, fully right Walker Buehler and Garrett Crochet. Now, picture that over Sean Manaea and over Jack Flaherty and over Nick Pivetta. I think that's why I picked Walker Buehler out of these guys, but I'd be happy with Flaherty. I'd be happy with Manaea. I don't really love the idea of bringing Nick Pivetta back. Honestly, it just feels like you're not moving in the right direction. Although Manaea and Nick Pivetta are probably pretty close when it comes to potential production overall. The other part of this I wanted to talk about was on the position player side of things. We keep hearing things connecting the Red Sox to Alex Bregman and connecting the Red Sox to Nolan Arenado, but we don't have any movement outside of that. We know the Red Sox checked in on Anthony Santander, but he's going to want 5 years. We know that Teoscar Hernandez might be preferring the Dodgers and the Blue Jays over the Red Sox at this point, so I have absolutely no idea where things stand when it comes to offensive free agents. It sounds like the Red Sox have been internally discussing moving Rafael Devers to first base, right? It feels like that's sort of a conversation that's been had, despite the fact that we sit here and I hate that idea. A lot of you, I would say a majority of you, hate the idea of the Red Sox moving Rafael Devers to first base. His agent hates that idea. Devers hates that idea. The Red Sox themselves, they're sitting there behind closed doors despite what they're saying publicly, and they're considering the idea of moving Rafi to first base. Now, I have no problem with Rafi to DH. I think that's actually a really smart idea, especially if you get a Gold Glove caliber defender like Alex Bregman or even Nolan Arenado. But yeah, I don't know why they're so focused on trying to move him to first when they could either just leave him at third or DH him. I think those are two better options, especially with sort of the domino effect that would happen if you moved him over to first base. But I feel like we talk about that all the time. It just continues to keep coming up. I think it might be one of the bigger battles this offseason amongst Red Sox fans. Overall, outside of the actual trade that was performed here, and that was just for a prospect, we haven't heard a damn new thing about where the Red Sox are at in terms of this free agency, right? They're still connected to the same people. There's still not really any movement with those people. It's just sort of everything went from, oh my God, there's a report here, here, and here, to absolute dead standstill, nothing, which does tend to happen sometimes after winter meetings, but it felt like there was a lot of momentum on a lot of things, and they left Texas, and all of a sudden, all of those things dead stop. It's really interesting to me. What I will say is that I don't know if no news is necessarily a bad thing. Garrett Crochet came out of absolute nowhere, I think, for the most part, right? There was no real smoke in the water before that actually took place. That other lefty the Red Sox signed came out of absolute nowhere, so maybe the fact that there is absolutely no news, or at least brand new news connecting them to anyone else, is a sign that they are trying to get something done behind the scenes, and that it's going to come from absolute Pluto, right? I don't know. But I think that's kind of where we're at, right? They make a trade. They're still connected to the same people, but there hasn't really been any movement. So let me know in the comment section down below. 1, what do you think of the trade? Does it mean anything to you? Does it not? 2, what do you think about the latest surrounding the Sox? Is there anyone out there that you're like, man, I really think the Red Sox are going for this guy? Do you think this is kind of it for the Red Sox? Let me know where you think they end up landing with some of these free agents in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just helps out a ton. It's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.